Fernando, it's great to have you on InvestorStream for the first time to discuss AGUIA's recent success securing bank finance from a Brazilian development bank to help fund the capex for your Três Estradas phosphate project so it can be brought into production. I suppose the big question is the LI. There will be obvious concern around AGUIA's ability to secure this, and there are examples of companies in the same commodity space and in similar markets where permitting has proved to be elusive. What gives you the confidence that this LI is very achievable, given everything hinges on it? And is securing the operating permit just as onerous?
Good morning, Alex. Pleasure to be here. We had experienced a very heavy, very strong support from the local community since the very beginning of our work here in southern Brazil. This support was seen in the public hearing. If you look at other projects in the region, some of them went through 3 or 4 rounds of public hearing. We had one public hearing that was unanimous, successful, and with 100% support of the local community. This is reflected also in the support that we received from the local development bank. As far as the technical work as such, as everything has been done very properly, and I see no reason for us not to get the LI. The operational license is the easiest one. The LI is essentially the license to gives us green light to start construction. And after this is completed, they go back, the agency comes back and revises everything that was built in the field. If we have done everything properly as planned, and as we will, then you get the operational license. So the operational license is really the easiest one.
What are you doing to establish a sales pipeline given your stated time frame to first production?
So first of all, let's start from the pipeline. We're now into the 3rd semester of agronomical testing. We have released to the market several results from our ag testing. Essentially, the sales is a very technical sales. The co-ops and the farmers here in Rio Grande, which is the 2nd or 3rd largest grain producer in the country, are very sophisticated. Last crop, they achieved a record production of 34 million tons of grain. So this is a very professional business. So the basis of the sales is all based on technical trials with the different crops, being the most important ones, soybean and rice. Our product has performed very well.
Okay, great. So turning to your end product, given you are in one of the world's primary agricultural regions, why has a locally produced phosphate never materialised, and how can you command premium pricing for your product?
About being the first producer in the region, it's essentially because we visualized the opportunity in the local geology and made greenfield discoveries where nobody else was looking for phosphates. So basically all the phosphate assets in the state are controlled by AGUIA. Well, essentially about a local producer never materialized. Essentially geology depends on discoveries and resources. So we were the first company to explore for phosphates in this part of the country. And we made several greenfield discoveries, and all these phosphate resources do belong to the AGUIA. Essentially, we control all the resources in the region. The position we are right now, the Rio Grande is the 3rd or 2nd, depending on the harvest, biggest producer of ag commodities in Brazil. The past harvest, Rio Grande produced 34 million tons of grains, and all this is supported by 100% imported phosphates. So our logistic advantage puts us in a very comfortable position to still be able to sell the product with a very good margin, but also being very competitive against any competition coming from outside the state. Our marketing strategy started almost 2 years ago, and it's a very technical sell. What we are doing is we hired a privately owned agronomical station, and we are running a variety of test works with our product in different locations of the state in different conditions and with different commodities. So we're focusing mostly on rice and soybean, which represent 80% of the ag production, but we're also trying many other crops. First of all, our product has responded very well. We're delivering up to 98% of the performance of the more traditional products. I already have a team of agronomists working with us, so that's essentially going to be our marketing strategy over time.
Given the size of your potential market and the size of your resource, how are you geared up to scale up your operations?
Well, as I mentioned before, all the phosphate resources in Rio Grande belong to AGUIA. So right now, this initial step on the Três Estradas, we're targeting production of 300,000 tons of fertilizer, phosphate fertilizer per year. That represents a little bit less than 10% of the market share. So there's a huge market still open that's going to be supplied by other sources and that we can access over time by scaling up production. First of all, the construction of these facilities, mining facilities, are very easy, and securing all the resources in the region, we can scale up very quickly depending on demand.
Fernando, given the performance of copper on a global scale, it'd be remiss of me not to touch on it here. How are your copper assets going and what's the latest there?
The copper was a choice that we made essentially 3 years ago. Really, the new commodity in the region is phosphate. As I said, we're all greenfield discovery done by AGUIA. But the region here is known for more than 100 years of historical gold and copper mining. And because we were operating in the region, little by little, we started putting together a copper portfolio, which materialized more recently. In the beginning of the year, we issued a scoping study of our Andrade copper deposit, which is the most advanced deposit. In this deposit, we have essentially 22 million tons of copper ore. Of this, more than 80% is indicated category. In the scoping, we have shown that this can be amenable to, first of all, an open pit and low cost operation. It's very shallow, outcropping at one part and then very shallow. We can open pit this, and then because the ore mineral in the deposit is chalcocite, is amenable to heap leach. So we can do a heap leach low capex project. In a sense, and in looking into the economics, very similar to our phosphate project. So a low entry ticket on capex, the return above 40%, and then with an NPV in excess of 100 million. So this project now we intend to advance as quick as we can. Next steps now would be starting the environmental baseline study and then moving on towards permitting and refined engineering. Apart from this project, we also have 7 regional targets in different levels of development. Most of them already are drill ready, so we should start drilling these targets in the second semester.
Excellent, Fernando. So what's the focus for your team now, and what are the next value catalysts that shareholders should be keeping an eye on?
Our focus is and will continue to be the phosphate. The value catalyst in the near future, one would be the LI. So this would just give us green light to start construction. Progressively, we will be delivering and unlocking value as we finish the construction, as we get the LI, and as we start the producing and going into cash flow. And obviously, on the copper side that we want to move together, we would be initiating the EIA and the permitting of Andrade, and also drilling the regional targets.
Fantastic, Fernando. Great pleasure to have you on to chat through the latest developments. Certainly a fair bit for us to keep an eye on over the coming months. All the best with the LI, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Alex.